Hello, I'm Joanne Sanchez. Welcome to this week's edition of Your Active Life, your orthopedic educational community program. We'd like to thank Affectionate Home Care for helping make this program possible. By my side, Dr. Raul Marquez.
Hello, and thank you for joining us.
Our goal during this program is to provide valuable healthcare information that will be beneficial for you and for your family. On today's program, we have a lot of action, a lot of footage that Dr. Marquez will be commenting on as we view sport injuries.
To better understand what we're talking about, we're going to see some clips, and so I'll invite you to my office.
Let's go.
Let's go. Hello, and welcome to my office. As I promised, we're going to have a very exciting program today. We're going to see some of the video clips of some extreme sports, some injuries, some of the things that we know how to do, but most importantly, what not to do. We're going to learn a little bit about safety and also how we treat those injuries. So let's go and see them. Our first video clip is very exciting. It's what we call some extreme sports. You can call them not a sport, but it's about rodeo. Rodeo teaches a lot about our lower back. As you will see, some of the extreme injuries that can occur in the back, because it will show how flexible that is. And also we need to learn that every sport, no matter what we practice, we have to have the proper equipment. And there are some things that we can avoid and some things that we cannot avoid. So let's take a look at this video clip. I think it's exciting, but at the same time we can learn a lot about it. Well, now we're looking at the very exciting clip and rodeo, and always every time I see something like that, I always think that the bull is winning. But what we are looking at is this rider, this bull rider, which is putting an incredible amount of stress to his lower back. So you can see how what we call he hyperextend his back. Most of his injuries are going to be in his lower back. Besides, throwing out of the bull counts as a big type of injury, and you can hurt any bone with the fall. But the basic things that we're looking here are how flexible is our back, but at the same time, this is a classic injury in the lower back. And for that, I'm meaning you put a lot of stress on the joints of the lower back as well as on the disc. And as you know, as we saw in previous programs, a herniated disc, what it is a bulging or herniation of the disc which pinches the nerve and causes the sciatica. This is an extreme example, but if we are doing activities that requires a lot of flexion or extension of our lumbar spine, that will cause this type of problems. And we already talked about how to avoid it and the treatment of them. Well, the next clip is going to be very exciting, and it's basically what not to do. This is another extreme sport called extreme boarding. And you will see one of the things we'll have to learn here, even though it looks funny, is first of all, what not to do, and what not to do is not to wear the proper equipment. This type of exercise or sport will bring a lot of injuries if, first of all, you're not fit. Second of all, you don't have the proper equipment. But some people think it's funny, so we can learn about those things. So let's take a look at it. Here we're looking at what not to do. Obviously, this girl is having a lot of fun, but one of the problems that we see as she falls is that first of all, she's snowboarding with no proper equipment. And proper equipment, we're talking about helmets, elbow pads, wrist pads, knee pads, and seemed to me that she is having a very short boots for this type of problem. So number one, what we learn from this is proper equipment. Number two, with this type of injuries, the main problem will be an injury to the anterior cruciate ligament because of the hyperextension, because the way she's sitting down on the board, and also because it tends to have all the force based on her knees. So we already talked about anterior cruciate ligaments. We have just learned that what not to do. We're going to see another clip which is also very similar will see some of the same mistakes, and hopefully if you like to do snowboarding or extreme boarding, you'll have the proper equipment, you'll be fit enough and have enough strength on your knees to avoid the problems that we're talking about here. So let's see the second clip about exactly what we're talking about. Well, now let's look at that second clip, which is almost more or less similar to what we're talking about. Same injuries, and again, please look at this and tell me what not to do. So let's go and see. Well, there she goes now. Again, no equipment. You can see high speed, and there is another boarder or skater close by, and she trips, and I think she probably got the worst part of the deal right now. As you saw now, this lady had not the proper equipment. She's obviously boarding or sliding down with another person on the side, so she could injure herself. She did not have the proper equipment, no elbow, wrist pads, etc. And also, what will be the main consequences on her fall? It will be mostly her knees, any type of injury that you can imagine, as the elbows, the wrists, the shoulders, and even the head. How can we avoid this thing? Well, we're going to avoid it again, proper equipment, and also we have to be extremely fit to avoid this type of injuries. And we're talking about extremely fit, what we just said. We said about strengthening our knees, strengthening our back, and please, folks, use the proper equipment. So hopefully this clip has helped us on the type of activities that we can enjoy, but also what not to do. Well, our next clip is about an exciting sport, which is hockey. Hockey, as you know, is a lot of contact, and what we're going to show today is the most common injury in hockey that you probably imagine is on the knees, but it's not. It's really on the shoulder. The most common injury on hockey is on the shoulder. So we'll show you this clip, and then we can analyze it a little bit and see what we can deduct out of this thing, or we can avoid it, because sometimes it's very difficult to avoid some of the injuries that we'll see. So I think this is somewhat that everybody needs to see and learn from it. Well, let's take a look at it. As you can see, these two players coming together, and it's a high impact, one pushing the other player, and the player that is having a problem here is the one on the yellow shirt. Why? Because he basically smashed his shoulder against the plexiglass or the wall, and that what it causes is what we call a shoulder dislocation, which is not a shoulder dislocation. What happened is this joint that we see here on my shoulder is as we discussed before, is the acromioclavicular joint. What is the acromioclavicular joint? We already discussed in previous programs. It's the joint between the clavicle and the shoulder blade. And if I hit my shoulder against the wall, as we saw it on the clip, that will, first of all, will hurt a lot. Second of all, what's going to happen is that the collarbone will go up, and that's what everybody is calling the acromioclavicular joint dislocation. But in general, we call them as a shoulder dislocation. How to avoid it? Obviously, proper equipment. In this case, he had the proper equipment, but sometimes the injury is a high velocity injury, and to avoid it is very, it's really difficult. But what I can say about avoiding it is obviously to be fit, to be muscular, and having the proper protection.
Well, friends, we have come to an end of this program. We sure hope that this information will help you make some important decisions for you and for your family.